All right, we're live with the God Theory podcast. This is episode 6. And we're going to be talking with JT Eberhard. We're going to make him famous. And Steve Cauthren, who attended his very first convention. We're going to talk about conventions, a couple questions around them, and we're also going to be kind of reviewing the last one we did that we all were at, except for David because he's a loser.
I went to the anime convention. I got confused. No one here is talking about God or not God. It's mostly Pokemon. But then I was like, lemons and lemonade, right?
Right. Yes. Well, hello, JT.
Hello.
How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm good. I'm incredibly frustrated. I wish we were doing the Game Theory podcast so I could ask people how to beat freaking hero bosses on Hearthstone. Killing me.
That I don't know. I haven't played that one yet. And hello, Steve. How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Good.
Super great.
Awesome. Well,
off to a rousing start. Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah. So we all went to this convention minus David because he sucks. So David, you just shut up.
Pokemon, gotta catch him.
I had a blast. That was my first one. Like that was insane. Is that normal? Was it normally that fun?
And what was the name of the convention you were at?
It was the American Atheist convention for 2015. And it just kind of varies. Some conferences are more enjoyable than others. American Atheist is always a really, really good one. But I mean, yeah, they're always fun. But American Atheist is one of the best ones. If you ask me some of my favorites, I'd say Aposticon, Skepticon, American Atheist. Those all kind of have the same feel.
You're a little biased, Skepticon, though.
I'm a little biased for Skepticon. Well, I mean, Skepticon, the energy is always really good because it's free to get in. Like, you got people, like, traveling across the country. Like, people from Canada go to Skepticon.
How do you keep out the riffraff?
You don't keep out the riffraff. And when we started, that was the goal, because before Skepticon, like, every conference cost a few $100 to get in the door. Like, back when I was running it, like, the most popular email we got was from people who'd be like, oh, my God, I can't go to any other conferences. Thank you so much for doing this. So it makes it accessible to everybody else.
Wait. Then do you get those people who come in and they want to argue? Like, you get religious folks?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. I want to go now.
That's actually a feature, not a bug.
Dude, at American Atheist, you could have walked out on the sidewalk and had your pick.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, and which is hilarious because Fox News covered that. I don't know if you saw that. And they were like, "There's a surprising lack of protesters." It's like, when? When did that happen?
Well, I think like it's like Fox. Like every conservative event is like, "We're gonna have millions and millions of people here," and then like 20 show up. So they're expecting like thousands of protesters, and there were like 10. They're like, "Oh, what is?" Yeah, well, there's one guy with a sandwich board that said, "Who made the moon?" ? And then I figured, like, what is after that? Like, God exists, or like checkmate, or like.
Yeah.
Who made the moon? Why are there two suns on Tatooine?
Cosmologists have never considered this.
I wonder if that really affected anyone. Anyone was like, "Oh my God, I should have played that part." Just walk out and be like, "Fuck me, you're right." Oh my God, and then just tear the shirt up, you know? Be done with it. It'd been awesome.
Okay, next time.
It's a meaningless question.
Yeah. We have to do that next time. Go as a group, and then like we argue with each other. We just start arguing because you're like, "Yeah, I never thought about that," and then you're like, "Well, shit," and then we all like, that'd be perfect. That'd be awesome. And then turn on and then get a board and put it on.
We drop to our knees.
Oh my God. Okay, let me see if I can get Jacqueline Glenn out to Aposticon. I like let her film it and put it on her channel.
There you go. Oh, we have to dress like them too. Like come out there like a different day and like just be like, "Man, these guys are dumb, right?" And then just that'd be great.
Oh yeah, go back the next day like all in ties and a shirt tucked in and stuff. Yeah, just walk out with our Bibles.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome.
And then like at the very last minute, be like, "Hey, like I heard someone say the moon was like made when an asteroid collided with the Earth and just solidified out in orbit. There's a lot of evidence for it." Oh yeah, that makes sense. Just like tear off the tie. Like,
yeah. False alarm. Call it off.
Convention shirts underneath. It's almost like we knew. Oh my God.
And my sandwich board just says like Diana and Artemis or whatever Greek moon goddess we want to go with.
Yes.
Like you're right. You're right. It was Selene who made the moon.
Or just walk out the next day with like the Artemis shirts on and like preaching about the wrong god.
Yeah, it's like we're on board, man. You won us over. Clearly, a god made the moon, and it was the moon god, Obs.
We could do the. You remember that the guard scene from Monty Python, you know, where they keep getting it wrong? We could do that with them. Where they're like, right, because there's 17 gods. No, there's just one. That's right, just one god, 12 moons. What? No. Oh my God. Just be like the most belligerent, but super. You want to agree with them?
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. I think we have a new mini game.
Yes. Okay, we're doing this. We're doing this and medieval times at Apostacon.
I like it.
Make it so.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like there should be more free things. I can't believe how expensive like American Atheist Convention was.
I mean, they do it to make money. Like it's so they can afford to do their activist work the rest of the year. I mean, and then I don't
Sure.
Yeah, and I don't blame them for that. Like that's a good cause. But, like that's why I'm glad Skepticon exists, because there has to be something to counterbalance it that lets everybody else in who can't afford still. You know, as long as that exists, and you know, you say you're shocked there's more free ones. Let me tell you how much fucking work it is to put on a free conference. Like you've never had a harder time fundraising in your life, especially if you want to make it a big deal.
Mm-hmm. You gotta fly speakers out. You gotta.
Yeah. Now something that can happen is university groups. A lot of them can get money from their college. Like we got $4,000 per year from the university. Like if we filled out our paperwork and had a good cause and everything. So like that helped Skepticon in the beginning. But other it's the corgi. College groups that can get that money can run like mini conferences with their school's money and do it for free because then they're funded already.
Well, that'd be cool.
I just did one at the University of Missouri, SashaCon. It was pretty good.
Never heard of it. Huh. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I do want to support people who are in the movement and everything, but man, that's just expensive. There was a pass. This is one of the best parts. There was a pass where you could get like it's like an Atom pass or something like that. Yeah. And they were like, dude, you could actually have dinner with JT Eberhard. I was like, oh.
We did that.
Like my fans who don't know, like I went to high school with Jeremiah and David, and I've known Steve back from since when he was an evangelical Christian. Like I've known these guys forever.
Yeah, we've done some hilarious things.
You were an evangelical Christian. You were an evangelical Christian, and you were an evangelical Christian. Oh no, you were a Mormon, David. Sorry.
Yeah, don't flog me in with those crazies.
Yeah. He didn't believe in the real guy. It was a cheap guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys
I try to lord it over him sometimes, like, ooh, who got out first? They're like, you had atheist parents. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, the fact that you were ever in it does not bode well for you, JT.
Yeah.
I was brainwashed in a cult. You had atheist hippie parents who never tried to control your thoughts. And yet one of us was doing the Jesus thing in high school more than the other one.
That was me. Well, everything I do, I do 110%. So
you were so good at
you gotta go all out.
Did you? I've converted way more people as an atheist.
Well, it's easier when you're right.
That's true. Yeah. Are you gonna say something, Jeb?
Oh, I don't. Man, whenever you were doing your big
high school and we did. Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead.
Can I really talk now?
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna talk. I actually didn't. I didn't
remember the way JT.
Fucking asshole.
No, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
Oh. I don't trust you. I'm like an abused wife at this point. I don't know if I can trust you. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna talk. No, actually, I didn't know you whenever you were doing the Jesus thing. Like, I knew of you, but we weren't friends yet. So, what were your parents like back then? What did they say to you?
Pretty much the same. Well, my dad, my father has a degree in philosophy, and so like he never told me. I actually never knew he was an atheist until later in life, but he would always give me the arguments and the counter arguments and just let me mull over them. He trusted me to eventually make the right decision.
Nice.
That must have killed him.
I'm sure it must have killed him. So I was around being like, gay people are terrible. It's the apocalypse.
He's like, what makes you say that? He's getting all Socratic. And you're like, I'll tell you why. And he's like, okay. That might be a thing that is a concern later.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in your defense, you were proselyted to by your teachers at a public school. So
I was. And
turns out that's not cool.
Yeah, and then later in life, I got a job like stopping, like making sure like those teachers felt ramifications for doing shit like that.
And that's with the.
I was with the Secular Student Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And that's like so illegal. Like I've thought about writing an open letter to both those teachers. Like, you made me into a bad person, and you were self-serving. I know your heart was in the right place, but it was actually self-serving. And now I've dedicated my life to unmaking the damage you do to other people.
Love JT. Smiley face.
I'm a much better person now.
I have the same problem with therapy, man. Like, there's a lot of people. Oh, I won't name any names, but
for any of my readers who are in here, Jeremiah's studying psychology. He's a PhD student at the University of Mississippi. Yeah, studying
Yes, I am.
violence in video games.
Let me put on my fancy shirt.
Okay. So when he talks about psychology, like he's not a layman.
He's not an
No.
ultra crepidarian when he brings it up.
Yes. Oh, that was a word we learned because we were sick of people jumping into our field and saying that they know how to do things. Anyway, but so there's some people. I won't name names, but her name was. No, I'm just kidding. There's some people who practice this. They literally go into therapy with a Max Lucado like devotional and go through it to treat like depression and shit. It's fucked up.
That's more depressing than when they must feel already.
It came out worse.
How does a person get away with that? Like I know there's standards for therapy. Like how do
There's
they?
like good practice.
Well, you probably won't see it much in psychology because we have to learn science first, so it kind of weeds out the fanatics. Because you have to learn how to be able to establish whether a treatment works or not, right? And that kind of thing. And so we're biased towards the data, but you see it a lot in like you might see in counseling or social work where they don't have that scientific background. They just say, oh, this works, and they don't know how to say, oh, but something else works better, or does it really work? Are we measuring it? No. So oh man, and the whole thing's fucked up, dude. I could do a whole episode on why therapy's fucked up right now, but I won't get into it. But basically, it's like just people teaching stuff that barely works or doesn't work, and only citing the parts, pulling an Anita Sarkeesian kind of, only taking the correct evidence and not the bad evidence against it. So
if they're caught doing that, are there penalties?
If you can get the right board, like not for like counseling, but in psychology, it depends on the board. But yeah, I mean, there's all the regular biases that you see everywhere else with religion and irreligion. So good luck getting it through. But yeah, with psychology, you could lose your license if you demonstrated that it was harming the patient rather than the gold standard treatment which you should have used. But I can't speak to the other disciplines. But yeah,
you made an interesting analogy once to me about your field. You said, like, imagine you're a lawyer and you're at a law conference, and all these lawyers are there, but some of them are just like people who watched some YouTube videos on how to do law, and some of them are just like preachers who showed up and they like to talk, so they're practicing law too, and like. Because there's everybody in this field of therapy, and they all have different credentials or no credentials, but they're all kind of doing the same job. It's really interesting. There's not many fields like that.
It's fucking weird, dude. It's weird.
It must be how like doctors feel when they talk to chiropractors or homeopathists.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're like, well, you can't show it doesn't work. I treat patients all the time, and something happens, and I'm like, let me guess, the cough went away in 3 days, which is the natural progression of the disease. Weird. But whatever. Anyway, yeah, but conventions.
Yes.
What does?
It's a cracking spine saves lives.
It demonstrably does not, but yeah, thanks. Conventions. Yeah, dude, I had a lot of fun at it, and I didn't just attend that many like talks, but I feel like I went to one that I really loved and was really meaningful, and the rest were just kind of fun. Is that like the one I went to that was meaningful with that line, the one where you hear all the people calling in and remember that?
Yeah,
like
the hotline talk, with Sarah Moorhead.
Fucked up, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
What was that like for those of us who weren't there?
She read. Sarah read some of the. She couldn't give the names, but she read or played the audio. But she read some of the transcripts of the calls they got in.
Uh-huh.
Some of them were from like 12 and 14-year-old kids who were like, my parents still love me, right? Like it was sick shit. But like good news, I can tell you, I'm the volunteer who vets the people calling in to volunteer with the Hotline Project to get on the phones, and like I'm inundated with people who want to be a part of it. So the project is healthy, and hopefully it'll help out a bunch.
So it's a hotline for like atheists who don't feel support or who feel stressed like with a transition, or
or just for religious people who are having doubts. Like it's not a line to convert people; it's just to support people who are having doubts about their religion. Because a lot of times they're not going to get it from religious people. They're going to get shame and all the scare tactics.
Divorced from their spouse and their kids taken away and all the other horror stories.
Well, I don't think there's going to be any judgment from religious people. They're
they're infamously open-minded. So
yeah, hell is a place with cotton candy and rainbows. So that's not fear and judgment.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're really fun, and a lot of people who are new to conferences don't realize you don't have to go to all the talks. In fact, a lot of people just go there to hang out with other atheists and have a blast, because it is a lot of fun. I mean, the talks, like a lot of times, are even just secondary.
Yeah, I've never been to an atheist convention, but conventions in general are places where people with niche interests go just to meet people with those interests that they don't normally they're not normally surrounded by, right? Like Gen Con, you're never going to see that many gamers in one place, right? Or when we went to Dragon Con with you, JT, like so many geeks in one room, right?
Everywhere.
So
Well,
I can see how atheist conventions would be the same thing.
There's also that one in St. Louis we went to, that goat fist fucking one. There's so many people that normally don't come across.
I've never seen like 20 goat fist fucking. It was really good to share technique, like talk about that kind of stuff.
Couldn't get through the technique.
I tried to keep a straight face, but I was thinking of that goat sim game and I lost it.
Wow,
yeah, that was really fun.
That happened.
Something.
Change and scene. Change gears.
there was actually something crazy for me. This was my first one, and remember we went out and like everyone was wearing shirts, like walking out towards the.
Oh
like,
yeah, they'll have the
Beale
American
Street.
because if you register for American Atheist, they gave you a shirt with your name badge and everything. And so we go out on Beale Street.
Free shunning.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you go out on Beale Street, you see all these green American Atheist shirts. Like it was
Awesome.
kind of solidarity.
It was nice, except I also heard people like harassing us and like looking at us different. It was crazy. Remember this? Right when we left, there was these two girls that walked by and they were like, "We're Christians." Like, that wasn't that supposed to mean? I was like,
Congrats.
Awesome.
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. Like I was like, oh, what do you atheists have to complain about? Like our existence is offensive to some. Just like our existence. Like never harmed them, never harmed a flea. I never done anything bad to anybody. Like our existence is offensive.
I went to the liquor store yesterday wearing an atheist T-shirt, and I got so many looks, but I was trying to be super polite. I was like, "Excuse me, may I put this here for just a moment?"
Dude, it's hilarious. That's just like how remember how like this is a complaint that some black people have, or anybody that are of a minority. You expect them to be like the spokesperson of all black people, or
right,
like, you know,
like you're representing your demographic.
Yeah. Well, I am a spokesperson for atheism. Let's
right? So okay, appropriate.
Please, no, I'm a spokesperson for me.
Yeah, though it's weird. Speaking of, like, this is one of those things where you actually realize that privilege might be a thing, because as white guys, you normally aren't that, like, you have to walk on eggshells, right? You have to assume that, like, if you say something, all white guys think that way. But when you put those shirts on, you get to experience that for a minute. You get to see what it's like to be a persecuted minority, even though it's something you can take off at the end of the day, so it's not as bad. But we kind of have to keep your atheism under wraps sometimes if you want to not cause waves. It's almost considered rude just to be an atheist. Like, people take that as an offense.
Yeah. No, privilege is certainly a thing. Like, and what sucks is like, because we've got this great concept of privilege and trying to get around it, and I'm all for that. But like a lot of people in the atheist movement will use privilege as the argument. Like, you're privileged. End of argument. You're wrong. And I hate that. It drives me nuts. Yeah, like being privileged doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make you wrong by the nature of your birth.
It makes
but
you
like
privileged.
an argument needs to follow that, or some information needs to follow that. So yeah, like, and it sucks because like a lot of times when you acknowledge yes, privilege exists, like people immediately lump you into the like privilege is an argument camp, and I hate that too. Like.
Disclaimer for our listeners: JT has a lot of privilege. You guys can't see, but he's white and male. So
I am white and male.
take what he said with a grain of salt.
I'm working on boobs though, so I don't know.
Hey, there you go.
Hey, good work.
Give me a call when you get that done.
Getting there.
Invite you to the next Goat Con.
Why? Man boobs, are they better there? I don't know.
Yeah, I just figure it couldn't hurt.
What'd you say that?
It couldn't
Complimentary kerosene, though, right?
Yep. Anyway, so yeah, that was your first one. Steve, that was your first one too. What did you take out of that experience?
Oh man, it was honestly I had a lot more time fanboying because JT was going around and introducing me to everybody. So when I wasn't choking on my
you kept it cool though. You kept it cool.
I tried until Aaron Ra commented on liking my tattoo, and I was like, oh my god, Aaron Ra loves my tattoo. Yeah, you like it? So it was pretty ridiculous that way. But outside of that, the convention was awesome. It was just awesome. I mean, listening to those things and.
Oh, lost him.
Well, something I'll say about the American Something I'll say about the American Atheist Convention. They're really like. fame gets to some people's head. And I'm not gonna say who, obviously, but like you get famous. A lot of people don't react well. Let it go to their head. And this is no secret. An American Atheist is really, really good about inviting people who are going to be good with the fans, who are really men of the people. If you said like, "Hey, you're famous," they'd be like, "Oh, shut the fuck up." You know, people like Matt Dillahunty, Aaron Raw, Seth Andrews. I know, I'm so full of myself. But like all those other people, I don't know why they keep inviting me back. But yeah, and that's a lot of times how I judge the quality of a conference is how many speakers they got who are going to make the time to go down and be with their fans, a good portion of the time versus those who go and hide in the green room or hide. But then like some people like Richard Dawkins, I don't blame him just because he's inundated 24/7. But the rest of us. Right. A big deal. And people like Aaron Raw are really men of the people. They're really down to earth. Matt Dillahunty, of course, is just is as humble as the day is long.
They were so approachable is what made it awesome for me that I could, turn around, just reach out to David Silverman's hand and say, hey, and he'd just turn around, shake my hand, talk to me like we'd known each other forever.
Silverman, I don't know how this guy does it. He's so busy. Like, if you go up and shake his hand, you might only get like 5 or 10 seconds, but for those 5 or 10 seconds, you are the most important thing in the universe to that man.
It was awesome.
Crazy.
That's some charisma right there. That's great.
Yeah, they call that leadership.
I think one of the things that was most interesting to me was that the convention, the people there were far more accepting than, if you went to a church where people might look at you because your tie wasn't expensive enough and that sort of thing. They just come right in,
Oh hell, I was running around with you guys in PJs. No one gives a damn.
Of course you do.
Awesome.
Of course you do that in most scenarios in life, not just conventions.
I like PJs.
They're really comfortable. So JT, what did you talk about?
There's a method to the madness. Like what he talks about, like, okay, so it's like once my blog started getting thousands upon thousands of readers, like there came a time where I had to accept. Like I know there's no way to say that without sounding like an asshole. It's gonna get even worse. Like there gets to a point where you have to admit like some people look up to you, a fair number of people look up to you, and being around you and getting your time means something to them and it inspires them. That's not irrelevant. So like when I go around wearing PJs or not dressing up for talks, dressing down, jeans and a button up, part of it's, yes, I think comfort is fashion, but part of it is also I want people to be able to approach me. I want to be like, oh, he's just in PJs and a T-shirt. He doesn't give a shit. Like, just go talk.
He's got a Timo hat. Who's he trying to impress?
No, like you can even see it at conferences. Like you can watch people like make eye contact, like be around you the whole length of the conference and make eye contact, and you can tell they want to come say hi to you, and they just don't. They're just nervous. Which is it's so surreal to even think like that's happened in my life. It's really weird. But like at the same time, like you have to acknowledge it. And Matt Dillahunty, Seth Andrews, Dave Silverman, people like that, they get it way more than me. But like you still know. Like I've gotten to the point where I like crumple up a napkin and just throw it at them. I'm like, hey, come over here and tell me your favorite color. But like I want to be approachable. That's really important to me, and I know it's really important to a lot of the other speakers there.
Oh no, it's weird. Like it was like me being your friend for a long time. We did some dumb shit together, like going fishing for cops with donuts. Like and fishing. Like, that's the JT I know.
Statute of limitations.
If giving cops donuts is against the law, then I don't want to be right.
That's wrong. I don't want to be right.
But no, yeah, and it's weird to like and then I see your blog, it does really well, obviously, and like people invite you to places and you're always busy, but like we're going through the conference, like, and people were like, oh my gosh, JT Eberhard. I was like, what the fuck? It was cool.
It's surreal. When JT came out to Colorado Springs to give a presentation at one of those colleges we have out here, one of those fancy book learning places. And I offered him a couch, an air mattress, because that's how I roll. But we went down there. I went down there with him, and it was just so bizarre seeing like celebrity or pseudo celebrity, I guess, JT, because he's not Ben Affleck, but he's treated like he is there in those conferences. Like he's treated like a big deal, and it's just really fun to watch because it's like this is the guy that I grew up with, and he's totally the normal dude, the Timo hat and his PJs on. And
dude, you think it's weird for you?
Yeah, sure, it's weirder for you, but it's just it's the contrast effect because I didn't see it gradually happen the way you did it. It's just like all of a sudden.
Yeah. But like what's most important to me, like with Jeremiah, you and Steve being there last weekend, like obviously you're my friends. Like I want you guys to be proud of me and see what I'm doing with my life and share like my pride. But at the same time, like, it's not that I'm there and that people want me there and want to see me that makes me proud. Like, I if anything, like, I want you guys to see, like, me be nice to people and charitable with my time. Like, that's what I'm proud of, really.
He was modeling that for you, Jeremiah, so you can
No,
learn
I really was. Like, all my friends, like,
Uh,
I don't want them to be like, oh, JT's famous. Like, oh, look at JT's, like, doing good things and is nice to people who look up to him.
That's cool that you mentioned that, because that was something that I mentioned whenever I was talking about the I can't remember if this was maybe with you, David, talking about the convention. I was like, it was weird that, like, everyone just sat out in the lobby. Everyone was real approachable. Like, Matt Delente was playing a stupid little, like, ukulele, and then like, and Aaron Raw just sat next to us, or Aaron Raw, or I always
Aaron,
pronounce it wrong. Aaron, okay. Or like Oron, like Final Fantasy X. That's sweet. And he's just sitting there shooting the shit with, like, Steve and Bobby, who, big fans and stuff. It's just, I thought it was cool. I can't believe that there's people who aren't like that. You're saying that there's sometimes where they're not doing that.
Yeah.
No, that's unfortunate. I'm sure you don't want to throw anyone under the bus, so
No,
I
don't.
But who is it?
But really, seriously,
So-
who is-
your bottom 3 atheists of all time. Who are the worst people you know?
Let's get it going.
Oh, God, I don't know if I can fit it into just 3.
By the way, David, are you sitting in heaven right now? Is that what's happening?
Yes, actually, I'm about to be raptured.
Okay.
So
Alright.
I don't have a lot of time left. Secretly a
Mormons are right.
spy. Yeah.
Oh.
The answer was the Mormons. It was,
I'm changing right now. I don't want to be left behind.
don't worry, we'll all baptize you when you're dead.
No, like, my favorite type of secular atheist celebrities is the type where, like, if you told them, like, dude, you're famous, they'd be like, shut up, and just sitting there chilling with you. Like, the ones who don't, like, who honestly, like, they probably know it, but, like, they probably don't think about it that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool, man. Like, I'm glad that that this was my first experience then, because I like to think that they're all that way. Although, now that I'm kind of, like, getting into this thing, I see that there's, like, divisions and drama, and it's a whole thing, man. It sucks.
Yeah.
I wish that's not what we need right now, infighting,
Yeah, and just, like, it's over this, and it's between people who literally hold the same goals. It's just it's stupid.
That's
And,
very
like,
religious of us, isn't it? Don't
Yeah.
the Irish do that? Isn't that a Protestant Catholic thing?
Yeah. The problem isn't that we have disagreements. Like, you're always gonna have disagreements. As the movement gets big, you're gonna have this wide myriad of opinions. The problem is like the way we resolve them. Like, you saw that email I got the other day, because I wrote a blog post where I was like, yeah, Atheist Ireland denounced P.Z. Myers because he's big on trying to destroy everybody who disagrees with him. Like, it's not just enough to disagree. Like, he's got to go, like, after them. Like, these people have tried to destroy people's careers before over disagreements. And I was like, we can't do that. We can have disagreements, but that's cruel. That's wrong. And by calling for, like, not trying to destroy one another over disagreements, I got an email from this guy, which echoes some of the comments I've gotten. It was like, oh, clearly you hate women and black people and justice. I'm like, what?
You do? Wow.
That's
to me.
a fair read of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't we all just get along? Sounds like you hate a lot of people, JT.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if this were one or two people who, like, resolve disagreements by jumping immediately to, like, you hate women, you hate black people, and you support rape or whatever the hell they do, like, I wouldn't care. They'd just be a few bad eggs. Like, it's not the majority by any means, but it's an appreciable portion that, like, does this and doesn't see the problem with that and doesn't see how ludicrous this is.
The weirdest thing about that is that, like, part of being a minority, right, of in this not being white male but being, like, atheist, is that you have people shouting you down, right? So obviously you don't want that tactic. Why are we using it within our own? Like, if somebody, like, presents a reasonable argument and they're like, oh, shut up, you hate black people or whatever they're saying.
Or even if they don't produce a reasonable argument.
Yeah. Right.
Even if they don't, so that's still not a reason to say they hate black people and women.
So maybe avoid the ad hominem fallacy? Is that what we're going for?
They don't see it as an ad hominem fallacy. They see it as standing up for social justice. And, like, it just doesn't seem to click to them that you can stand up for social justice without accusing each and every person who disagrees with you of hating those demographics. Like, it's just such black and white thinking. It kills me.
Well, see, that's why you're racist. I don't see color.
Right?
This shades of gray thinking, JT.
And like, the thing is, like, the people who get accused of this, people like me or Hemant Mehta, like, we like every single day we advocate for women's equality, gay LGBT equality.
Yeah, did they not read your blog?
Racial equality. Like every time the GOP says something racist, I jump down their throats like a sentient dick, you know?
That's the best image I've ever heard in my life.
That's great.
Jump down their throats like a sentient dick.
That's right.
Like, seriously, and I've done this for years. But, like, the moment you disagree with them, you say, like, hey, you know, maybe you're being kind of a dick and that's not productive. Immediately then it's like, oh, this is, like, the greatest coup in the history of ever. Like, I've been running around fighting for these causes for years just so I can now undermine them by asking people to not be assholes.
It's demonstrably wrong. That's the funny thing is that for a movement where, you know, we're big on evidence, right, like, in general, I actually got, this is on your page, I think, JT. I got in an argument with people where I was like, no, I'm the expert on this. This doesn't cause misogyny. Like violent video games don't cause violence, and you know, and it doesn't affect behavior. And people are like, it does, and you're a misogynist. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just telling you, this is the research.
I'm one of the world's foremost experts on this subject.
Yeah.
I didn't start killing people until I played Double Dragon. So.
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, I go, hold on, let me email the foremost guy. This shows how close I am. Yep. Email back. Ferguson. Yeah, because I was like, I'm not fucking around. And then they're like, I don't care. And I'm like, let me just get this straight. I'm just going to put this in writing just to make sure. You are disagreeing with the preponderance of scientific evidence right now, right? You think that the evidence is wrong. And they're like, I'm just saying that you're not right. I'm like, okay, no, okay, fine. But you get it. Crazy.
While atheism is a more reasonable position, being an atheist does not guarantee someone's going to be reasonable or a good person, sadly.
Yeah,
dude, at that convention, you remember the girl who got up there during Matt Dillahunty's magic trick? You remember how he was like, you don't believe in ESP, do you? And she's like, oh, maybe a little, or whatever. I was like,
he proved it was real with his magic trick, so.
That's a good point. Good point.
But, you know, baby steps. Yeah. She's gotten to the God not existing. You know, she can get to the ESP thing. It's all good.
Yeah, a few steps.
All things in time.
And atheists are, like, slightly above average intelligence compared to most people, but
yes,
slightly above average intelligence can still be pretty dumb about a lot of things. That's just how the bell curve works.
Dude, 100 IQ is fucking dumb. I do assessment right now for a living, basically. And let me just tell you that whenever people are like, I'm just concerned, I don't want to take the IQ test, I feel like I'm going to be like 100 or 110. I'm like, no. There are, like, frat people who are like, what up, bro? I'm here to take my IQ test. Do I think I got the ADD? And I'm like, oh my god, sit down. And then those guys are getting like 105s. You are not 100. Now, granted, the idea of like how the scale goes up is wrong. It's not a point-for-point comparison. Like the difference between a 110 and a 20 and a 30 is totally different, right? People think it's scales normally, but it doesn't. It's
right.
It's exponential. So like 100 to 110 is almost the same, and they're all kind of like that. Whoa, And then but up at the top, it's quite a bit different. 5 points of difference can make a night and day difference. But anyway, that's my diatribe. I'm done. But yeah, you're right. Even slightly above average intelligence, they could be suckers for a lot of things.
Yeah, and you can be an atheist for it's the right conclusion, but you can be an atheist for bad reasons. So we can get like dumb people who are in the atheist movement who are atheists for bad reasons.
Like Steve.
Yeah, dude, find me one atheist who does as much research and note taking as Steve, and then maybe, but
right, yeah, you'd be like, I prayed to God to like give me a Corvette, and He didn't give me one, so there's no God.
Yeah, and I just don't know how to resolve the because like when any disagreement is met with, with it, you hate black people and women, and enough people don't turn around and be like, that's stupid as shit. Like without that, we can't converse. Like we can't resolve anything. There's just not enough reality in this equation for us to make any progress.
So you're saying it needs to be self-policing too, like the people in the audience need to stand up and say, hey, no, actually, foul ball, let's keep it to the debate.
Yeah, and they're starting to. A lot of them don't because the crowd that uses this tactic is really, really loud and really, like I said, they tried to destroy my career. Like I got accused of rape on Twitter. Like
wow,
shit.
Yeah.
Did you say
surprise?
What was that?
Did you say surprise? Because it's not rape if you say surprise.
It's an important bylaw that most people don't know about.
But people are afraid of that type of smear campaign, and these people trying to destroy them over arguments, so they don't say anything. But now there's enough people who are like going like, wait, this is just out of hand, so they're starting to speak up, which is good.
Yeah. Silverman did that during his little opening speech, if you will, at the beginning of the conference, somebody said something about believers and whatnot being sociopaths, and he actually stopped. He said, "No, don't do that. We're not here for that." I thought it was pretty awesome.
And he was 100% right. Not only was the person wrong, that's like just offensive. We don't need that shit.
Yeah, like
Someone's a good dude.
That's something that like I see a lot, unfortunately. Not from you, JT. You're pretty well. I don't know. You've been vitriolic sometimes, but not. It's always hilarious.
I was when I was young, and I'm sorry for a lot of it. I was wrong to do that.
Oh, hang on.
Sure.
Hang on. You can be sorry. You can say you're sorry for things you've done poorly in the past.
Made a mistake and you're owning it.
I think a lot of us. And I've said I'm sorry. I've said I'm sorry in talks for that.
You can't get forgiveness for that.
You can still be firm, and you can still like when someone's being an asshole, you can be like, hey, you're being an asshole. Stop it. Like you can't just do that with everybody who disagrees with you. Not everybody who disagrees with you is an asshole, and you're wrong sometimes. It happens.
Yeah, I don't know. You're kind of coming off like an asshole right now, so I'm not.
Hey, fuck you.
All right, does anybody who doesn't hate women want to have an opinion on this? Because
that's all I'm hearing.
JT's wife.
Yeah.
His mic.
Really racist.
Yeah, and this is the thing. You tell people like trying to destroy one another over disagreements not only doesn't win you the argument, it makes people more apathetic about the cause and pushes people out of the movement because they don't want to walk on eggshells with everything they say, and it's a bad thing. And it's as certain as the laws of physics allow that, sure enough, someone's going to accuse you of hating women and black people. It's just
weird, because that sounds like it's supported by the scientific evidence on changing minds, Jeremiah. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Scientific what?
Classic psychology. #. Standard practice.
Isn't anecdotal far more sound evidence than scientific?
Yeah, definitely. That's a funny thing too. Is we study. One of the things I do professionally, and at least on a graduate level, clinician. I'm not a psychologist yet. I'm an almost psychologist. So like I'm still in school. But I resolve conflicts, right? Whether it's in marriage or I give talks at a business about it, about how to successfully number one, de-escalation. That's it. Like. There was an Onion article recently that I wanted to put in this my slides if I ever do that again for a company, where it just shows, it says, Texas man always brings his pistol around so that he can escalate any argument.
I saw that. That's great.
Yeah, like that is the idea. Escalation is
that would
the
be
enemy.
so funny if it wasn't true.
I know, that's what makes the Onion funny, because it's fucking hilariously right. But that's like. Too many people start shouting each other down. I'm like, what? Each person has to feel like they contributed, even if they're a dick or an ass. Like if someone, or both, if someone says to you something horribly offensive, and we just said this on the last podcast. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but if someone says something horrible to you, like I had a client, I had a couple in front of me, right? The dude says this, okay? This is a perfect practice in trying to get something positive out of this. He goes, well, my wife won't hush. I got to hit her to make her shut up. I also make her shut up. And I was like, and I've got to think of something positive to say to that man, right? Who regularly beats his wife. And so, like inside, I stonewalled it because I got my therapist face on. But like inside, I'm like, what the fuck? But what I did, all I said was, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm actually, or I said, yeah, like I'm excited that you could. I'm not excited. I'm flattered that you could, share that with me, and that you feel like this is a place where you can talk about things that, that you don't necessarily like doing. Hopefully. Tell me that, and because we're probably gonna talk about that. Would that be all right? Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe don't fucking hit women.
But be a misogynist.
Therapy done. Yeah. Next patient.
There's always something you can say nice, right? Like even like this one person was like, I don't feel like this is working anymore, and this guy comes in and was like messing with his iPod while we're doing therapy. I'm like, did you even hear what I said? And he's like, yeah, depression's bad, and I'm like. That's not what I said. But like,
my therapist. Now I know that my therapist does that. So I was like, yeah, I feel really good that you can talk to me about that. I'm like,
wait a minute, incoming criticism. We call this, and this is really cheesy, but I call this the compliment sandwich. Have you guys heard about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, you compliment them, you fucking meet the hell out of them, and then you compliment them again. So that's what these people need to be doing in these. Because what happens is, like when we get offended, we get fight or flight, and that's our old limbic system, our old reptilian brain kicks in, and we're not like all the blood flow is inhibited to your frontal lobes. Guess what you do in your frontal lobes? All the good shit,
all the thinky stuff,
all the good things.
Yeah, all the thinking, all your thinking happens there. So instead. you go on this like what the fuck, and you see the other person as a threat, and you see this happening in an argument because the other person will do something like they'll be like, well, they're waiting for their turn to talk, and you're like, you don't give a shit about what I'm saying, do you? You're just pissed off. So you're not changing any minds there, you know. So like you said, attacking isn't gonna help. What the hell? No.
Try it. But
Yeah, you lost me when you applied it to atheism debates. Now you're sounding kind of like you hate
Rapey?
women.
yeah.
You sound a little rapey.
Like you want to hit somebody right now.
I was on
Somebody
board
kill.
until the end. and then I was like, he kind of hates black people, I think.
Yeah. Talk about hate crimes now that you're doing.
Yep.
But you know, honestly, like I don't run any organization, but you watch the people conferences are inviting. Those people are not getting invited anymore. And this is I doubt this is a coincidence.
So there is some policing happening.
Yeah, but like the organizations can't come out and be like, oh, this person's toxic, and you know we denounced them. The Atheist Ireland did, but
They just quietly just stop inviting them to the games.
yeah.
That's good. I'm glad we're self-policing. It's important to have groups like that. You need people who are willing to jump up and talk about it. It sucks becoming a bad person when you do that. Like I've seen that happen to you, JT.
No, I'm willing to be the bad guy. You know, there's a bunch of people out there that feel the same and don't feel like there's anyone speaking up for them. So I'm happy to do it. And plus, like, you know, what have I got to lose? You know, if anything got me here, it's being sincere and always saying exactly what I think. You know, fuck, I'd be a terrible politician, but like that's my MO
you're
anyway.
kind of the hero that Gotham needs, but maybe not the one they deserve.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But anyway,
I don't know. Like it's like I think it was either David or Jeremiah. One of you always said this. Like I want people to trust me and garnering trust. So like if I compliment you, like I want you to believe me. And the only way that happens is if when I think you're wrong or doing something shitty, I tell you then too. Like so you know that no matter what, I'm always going to tell you exactly what I think.
that sounds smart, so that's probably me.
I think that generates respect. I think it shows respect, and I think it you know. I think even if people disagree with you, then they'll at least respect you enough, or maybe even like you. Who knows?
Yeah. That's something that people usually say about you is that you're genuine. So it's good. It's weird that it's to me it's so weird how people can turn 180 degrees on a dime. Like it's fine if there's evidence. Like if it's something like you know like somebody reads something and they're like, oh, and I've done this. I've been like, oh, I'm 100% wrong, and then I just turn around and people think that's weird. Yeah. Or they're like, whoa, flip flop, and I'm like, yeah, but I mean like with friendships. Like JT, if you came up and you slapped me in the face, I wouldn't be like, that's it, it's done. Like I would just be like, what the fuck, man? And I would try to resolve the problem, right? Like, and I would give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe you were pissed or, you know, I don't know, my face was extra slappy that day, or whatever. I don't understand people who just completely go from JT's a great guy to, and not just JT, like David, Steve, whoever is a great guy, and then no, I hate them, like right over, and they're the worst. I don't get that.
My brother-in-law told me the other day that he thinks I'm bold.
Who?
My brother-in-law, he called me the other day and was, you know, asking me questions about things, and I was telling him about the conference because he saw my post on Facebook. He's like, you know, I mean, I get what you're saying. There's not any evidence. There's not any reason to believe it, but I just feel like I want to believe it, and I just don't get how you're so bold. Like, why am I bold? Because I'm questioning things that don't really align with reality. How does that make me bold?
It is really bold, though, in this culture to go against the common consent and to question things that sound great. Like, heaven's awesome. You get, like, X number of virgins or clouds or harps or whatever version of heaven you get. Like, my version of heaven's got, like, a lesbian cloud. Like, you have to give that up. It's bold to, like, get rid of an afterlife and to get rid of like that. There's a comfort there. Like, I think it is kind of bold, especially if you're in a family like I suspect you are, where most people aren't atheists, and so you're kind of a lone voice in the wilderness.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, absolutely. My entire family is still very Southern Baptist and very very opposed to my heathenness, you know. And I'm just like, you know, I'm not trying to be heathen. I'm not trying to be hateful. I just really don't want to believe things that don't make any damn sense. So.
Let me give you an example of like what I've found, because I fly a lot to give talks, and when you're on an airplane, the first question they always ask is like, what do you do for a living, right?
Right.
And I found that when I'm like, you know, I'm a writer. What do you write about? I write about religion. Oh, what about religion? Like, fuck, I'm an atheist. Leave me alone. You know, that's when I get like all the sympathy and all the questioning, like, how do you be moral and that stuff. when they ask me what I do for a living, I'm like, oh, I'm an atheist writer. I write about how religion is false and bad for the world. That's when then they treat me like a human being. Like, but just the being honest and being sincere. Like, I don't know, people find it relatable. I don't know if you found that with your family, but
there's a study. I wonder if this is similar, because there's a study about people find their bosses more likable, and they're more willing to self-report whenever they did something poorly, like in their job, if their bosses use cuss words. And the theory is, and no one knows why, but the theory is that they're relatable. They're people. They're not afraid to like be out there, and they're accepting of sort of like these bad words, or I guess magical words. A lot of people think they're magical and they hurt people. So
in public speaking, 2 F-bombs per speech make you more relatable.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's I'm a teacher, and one of my principals I've worked under he always used to say, teenagers have a really fine like radar for hypocrisy. Like, they can pick up on hypocrisy and inauthenticity faster than anything else. So if you just are, I think it's not just teenagers. I think people have a really good sense for that. So when you say I'm an atheist writer, it's what I do. Like, it might be shocking, but it also feels authentic, and they're going to be happier to hear it.
Sure. I can't use too many F-bombs at my job, though. It's definitely frowned upon. So
yeah,
I'll make up
corporate
for you.
world. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. That's fucking awesome of you.
It's also frowned upon as a teacher, so I feel your pain.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. You fucking bitch, shut up.
You are fucking the worst. I'm so authentic, though. Love me.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you the fucking truth right now.
How would you even work that in like pedagogy? You're like, it's August fucking 14th, and
All right, so you guys know I teach private voice lessons to some high school students, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing their high school musical right now, and the directors asked me up 2 days in a row to give pointers like acting, coaching, some directing, and help with vocal work and stuff, right? Cool. So I was telling them a story, because the lesson was don't reinforce bad habits, because they were talking backstage. I was like, I fucking hear you. Don't do it in rehearsal. It's a bad habit. So why don't you reinforce bad habits? So I think it was Kathleen Battle. It was a great soprano. She's a terrible human being, but great soprano. Whenever she sang in rehearsal and she flatted a note, she would say "fuck." And when I was telling the kids, I said that, like, she would say "fuck," and I used the word. I literally saw like 2 of them like move, like jump, like like he dropped an F-bomb. And then I finished the story because she was singing in front of the Queen of England. She flatted a note, and guess what she said?
Wow.
But like, I don't know, like nothing bad happened, which is good. But like, even my wife will attest. Like, somehow I've gotten high schoolers to respect and like me, which I don't know how. Like. But like, I think it's stuff like that about just being real and treating them like adults, and not just high school students obviously, but people in general.
I think they just need a good whipping, like that's what's gonna come to mind.
Sometimes the thing they say makes freedom. I don't know what to do.
I love that. That's like the Louis C.K. joke when he's like your wife got herself upset, and he's like, why do you get less agency in that? That's like saying like, I don't know, pull the trigger, the guy got him shot in the face. That's you, dude. You did that.
I don't know.
What conferences?
What conferences are in the future for you, JT? Any more appearances this year?
I was supposed to speak at the University of Arkansas, but they moved that to the fall. I think my next one is my next conference is Gateway to Reason in August in St. Louis. And then in September, like, I've got a tentative yes to speak at Apostacon in Dallas, which is one of my favorites. Like, if I'm there, we all got to go. It's a hoot. And plus, Penn and Teller are the might be the headliners. Oh, they did? Okay, Penn and Teller are the headliners.
Yay!
Nice.
So,
we're trying to put together a group trip down there. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Dude, yeah.
I've got some family down there.
Yeah, like haul Tim down there. And plus, guys' team trip to medieval times.
That's really the
awesome.
highlight of any trip, really.
I lost my voice the next day whenever I went with Tim last time. Tim and Dave.
Oh, you guys went? Oh, you went to the one in Atlanta?
Yeah, it was Atlanta, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's where we went at Dragon Con. I hope your night did better than ours. Ours got like his ass whipped in the first round when we went.
But we killed the dragon, and the king was informed of that.
That's true. Wait, have you seen the video of our trip to medieval times?
No.
Okay, so our serf is going through his spiel, and he's really charismatic. He's getting into it, and just out of nowhere, Tim interrupts. Is like, "I've slain many a dragon in my time."
And the serf, without missing a beat, says, "Very good, sir. I shall inform the king at once."
He goes right on. Be sure to let the king know.
I'll be sure to let the king know.
Fucking Tim, dude. Like,
Be like a cable guy and get down there in the pit and fight with him. That's the whole thing.
Guys,
Tim
too bad we
like,
can't go to Chicago. In Chicago, I've got a standing in where we can get seated in the winning section.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
I don't in Dallas, though.
Not that it's rigged beforehand. It's all good sportsmanship.
Yes. Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, maybe we like if Michaelin comes with, we can make enough noise that she gets a favor.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Tell her to wear her fancy dress. Tell her wear something where she's asking for it.
Oh my God.
No, dude. Humor is very important, and we study this in psychology too, right? Like it helps you do a lot of things, and it's done a lot of things in social justice. Look at like what's his name? Not Jamie Oliver. What's that guy that's last week today or tonight?
John Oliver.
Yeah,
John Oliver, Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert. We're moving some serious shit through and getting a lot of good things done with humor. And the thing that makes humor awesome is that it's one step off of what people are currently thinking, right? And that's what makes it funny. And it allows things to be approachable. And I think that's it's so important. So when people are like, I don't make like a lot of jokes, but what's weird is like I was like, I'll punch that kid right in his face, and everyone laughs. I'm like, oh, and then you make a joke about like someone's like asking for it, or I make a joke about being a veteran. David said, "I'm glad you didn't get your legs blown off when he first saw me." Like that's awful, but like I laughed because nothing should be off the table. So I totally kind of disagree with this idea that things should be held holy, whether it's religion or topics in general.
No, yeah,
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, humor should be, of all the free speech, humor is one of the most useful.
Yeah, the problem, like a lot of times people use like, I was joking as an excuse for something they really meant.
Right.
Like it's kind of clear
like
when
if
that's
Bill
the case.
Cosby makes a rape joke, it's not funny.
Yeah, right.
But if Louis C.K. does, I'm on board.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And they transpose that onto everybody else. Like, you clearly do not support rape. You're clearly 100% against rape. You're clearly, you'll stand up for women till the day you die. Like, I've seen you go to violence to protect women before. Like, but like, there are plenty of people, and so many of them in the 80s movie I don't get, who hearing that joke, even if they knew your past of supporting that cause, would maybe be like, what, you hate women, you support rape, what? Because they're just so desperate for people who support rape. They're so desperate for a villain.
Yeah, what is that? Is it a way to like
crazy.
is it a way to feel like you've got the moral ground without having to have religion? Because one of the things you give up when you lose religion is that moral superiority. And I think
Not
intrinsic
me.
to ourselves as a species. Yeah. But like it's easy to feel good about the other when you're going to heaven and they're going to hell. Like it's easy to feel better than them. And we kind of lose that. We don't just lose an afterlife, we lose feeling like we're automatically better than other people. Like Mormons feel like they're a choice and elect people. I'm sure Baptists do too. And when you give up religion, you don't always give up that idea of being a choice or elect people. And so maybe they're looking for villains, like JT is saying.
Even if that were the case, I mean, there's some real villains out there in the world. I write about them. I mean, look at the Republican Party right now.
Yeah.
Like, why do we have to like
create them out of our own?
Yeah, I don't get that.
Do you think that some of it is just because they've never been in, like, let's say that you're a woman and you're, like, unfortunate enough to have been a victim or know someone who was a victim, and then of rape, and then so you never know what it's like to be a guy, and like that is not rapey, which is like 99% of men, or I don't actually know the statistic. It's probably higher, much less high than that. It's probably like 90% of guys that aren't disgusting, right? I wonder if it's because they think that we're all potential, because we kind of are. Like, let's say you're jogging at night and I run up behind someone, they don't know I'm not a rapist, right? So
Sure.
I wonder if it's just that they think, well, I don't understand the mechanism that leads to rape, and therefore everything's a threat, so like even a joke, maybe.
Yeah, but it's not.
Like
it's other people too, and yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah, but yeah,
I can empathize, but it doesn't make it okay. Like I understand why someone is violent against someone, but I never think it's all right. There's situations that make it understandable, but.
Like, I think the religious background that a lot of them have. What you mentioned, David mentioned the moral superiority thing. I think some of that background makes them a little bit confused as to what actually is right and wrong, because they have this black and white world that if it sounds wrong, it must be, and I don't think they can really parse that out and determine what's right and wrong.
Avoid the very appearance of evil kind of thinking.
Exactly. Yeah.
There does seem to be a lot of black and white thinking with people like that. And I don't know why. Obviously, I don't study psychology. I just know that it's there. I don't know why.
Do we have a psychologist on that can speak to that?
Yeah,
we have an almost one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you don't need to talk. We'll talk to
What, do we have like a scientist though? Like not just a psychologist, but
yeah,
fuck you. You're the worst.
See, that was a joke. I obviously don't really mean that, and we all had a good time.
You're such a rapist, JT. You got
That's exactly right. Like people have this idea that we can't parse out context, and that's, as we're finding out, is one of the most important things. Like behaviorism, the third wave behaviorism that's happening now, is all about context, understanding context. Like for example, one of the things that kicked it off was this. They did a project in was it Seattle? They've done this a few different places, and I can't remember which one was the big one. Let's say it's Seattle. Could have been in D.C. or Seattle. I can't remember. But they took a bunch of people, homeless people, off the street, and I don't know, this may sound crazy, but gave them a place to live, hoping that they'd maybe become better citizens.
Communist, socialist.
They do.
Not
well, okay.
Evidence,
because it
Muslim.
worked.
Salt Lake City just did that.
Okay, yeah. So this happened like 20 years ago. This spawned like a bunch of these people going, holy shit, maybe these Democrat people are right, that it's a matter of circumstance and environment that's helping to fuel this. Well, anyway, what happened was a lot of these people had been heroin addicts and things like that. And so whenever they got to their house, they even said this. They said, okay, all of this is yours, and you can even use drugs when you're in here, because when they said you couldn't, people were dying from what's it called, drying out or withdrawal. And so they said, we don't want to make people think that they're going to be withdrawal. And you know what? The most important thing is to isolate one variable, because that way they don't say, oh, it was the drugs that did it. They got off the drugs and that's why they got a job. And so they let them come in. But the crazy part is the people took the same amount of heroin, the same amount as they normally did, and they were dying like crazy. And so it made psychologists go, what the fuck? So we took some mice and we doped them up with heroin. No shit. These are the happiest mice in the world. We did this every day for like months. I think it was 1 month maybe, or maybe 2 weeks, but I think it was a month. And then we moved them to a different cage, because you always dope them up in a certain cage. You take them out of the regular environment, put them in that certain cage. It's the doping cage, and you dope them up there. And then we took them out, we put them in another cage where they weren't expecting it, or their their central nervous system hadn't kicked on. We gave them the same amount, and they all died. The reason why is because our context matters. Like our body sees certain stimuli, and we go, oh, this is like for example, you go in to take at the DMV and you take a driver's test. The next time you go in, you might see that same environment and your central nervous system kicks off and goes, oh shit, I need to be nervous, when you don't, right? And so the same thing is happening with rats or other people. You go to a certain place and you already know what usually happens here, and so those chemicals kick in to help kick the heroin. But the point is this, is that we are very good at understanding context, to the point where it's life and death in those situations. And so whenever you make a joke about that, that's fine. But if like someone from like the School of Pharmacy, we got in a button heads with a couple of them, if they said that, I would be pissed, right? Like, I understand context. That's important. Like, I don't know. I can't preach that enough. It's good shit.
Yeah, no.
But
I'm
conferences.
100% on board. Yeah, conferences.
So what should be my big question that I really want to know was what should be done with them? What are the things that would be the most helpful for the movement or for the people or whatever?
Oh, you mean what should the organizers do, or what should people who are attending them do?
Oh, I like both those questions. You tell me.
Okay, well, for the people attending, it depends on the person. Everybody has different needs from those conferences. A lot of people have the need to be social with other atheists and to feel accepted. And for them, like, don't go to a single talk if you don't want to. Go to the lobby and have drinks with other atheists and just chill out and meet other people. Some people, their goal is to meet their heroes, the Matt Dillahunty's, Aaron Ra's, and such. Go do that. And some people just want information, or are new to the movement and don't know how to beat certain arguments, or are generally have low information. They're not dumb, they just don't have a lot of information. Then go to the talks and get the information. It really just depends on the person. But don't feel like there's any one particular way that you have to treat conferences. There's not. What should the organizers do? God, that's trickier. It depends on who you're reaching out to. If you're doing a fun conference where you just want people to get together and be happy about being atheist activists, invite people who don't necessarily have 4 PhDs, but who are down to earth, chill, Matt Dillahunty's, people like that, or even like comedians like Keith Lowell Jensen. Just make it so everybody has a good time. If you want to do like a very like high information academic conference, then get your people with 4 PhDs who might not have the stage presence of a me or a Matt Dillahunty. But I think a cornucopia is good. Also, diversity. Invite women. Invite racial minorities.
There's that hate again.
I'm getting a lot of mixed signals from you, JT. It sounded like you liked minorities for a minute.
And there are great racial minority speakers out there who are available. Debbie Goddard at the Center for Inquiry, Hemant Mehta, Friendly Atheist. Dan Barker is actually is Native American.
Why do you hate all those
President-
people then?
Why do I hate all those people, right? Tony Penn from down in Texas, Dr. Tony Penn. Like, I cannot say enough good about that guy. That guy's badass.
He was awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing. So, yeah, and there are plenty of really good women speakers. Cauthren, oh god, I can't remember her name. She wrote the good news. Cauthren Stewart. She's wonderful. Valerie Tirico is fantastic. You know, they're out there and are available. So definitely make it a point, because we associate with people like us, even if we don't want to.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day, and oh god, I'm gonna sound like a terrible person here, but sincerity. So if I'm playing video games,
Yes, you will. Keep going.
yeah, okay. So if I'm playing video games, like if I'm playing like an MMO, I make all my characters white, not because I'm a racist, because like it's easier for me to associate and see myself, and this is part of privilege, right? It's easy for me to associate and imagine myself as the person on the screen, because if I see someone who's black or a female, like I'm neither of those things. It's hard for me to put myself in their shoes. And like in video games, it's okay. In life, you've got to make the dedicated effort, but at least you're acknowledging that that's the case. And we all have that bias, whether we like it or not. Obviously, I don't like it, but I acknowledge that it's there. So yeah, if you want to make women feel valuable in the movement, you have to invite female speakers. If you want racial minorities to feel welcome in the movement, you've got to invite their leaders. David Tamayo, also, God, can't remember him. Hispanic free thinkers. He's the executive director of them. Awesome. If you can get that guy, get him. He's amazing. But yeah, that's a priority. What else should organizers do? Student tickets. American Atheist got on board with that after Skepticon. It's made a huge difference. These are your future leaders. You've got to make everything available to them.
That made a difference for us going, for sure. The difference in $300 and some down to $50 was a big play.
Yeah. Even if you're like American Atheists and your conference is to raise money for all the good work you do, I mean, you still got to. Part of doing good work is making this huge, wonderful, inspiring conference accessible to the future, and it's the young people. What else? Don't just do speakers. Like American Atheists and Skepticon and Aposticon are really good about this. They'll have like games for people. They'll specifically make time to be social and be like, hey, go be social. This is your time to be social.
Cool.
Yeah, bring in comedians, musicians. People hate to admit it, but churches have co-opted a lot of what makes human beings happy, so much to the point where if atheists start to do them, people are like, oh, that's too much like church. I'm like, no, it's not too much like church. It's too much like humanity, and they use these things to get you into church, and they've convinced you that they hold the deeds to them, which is pretty fucked up. But yeah, even if people would be like, oh, you're too much like church, fuck you. It's because it works. It's because it's part of being a human being, to like music, to like laughing.
Yeah.
Do that stuff. I go to KC Oasis every now and again. I went there this morning because Michael gave the community moment, and like they do the whole thing like, hey, you got 5 minutes, stand up, shake someone's hand next to you, and say hi. A lot of people look at that and be like, oh, it's just like church. Like, you're meeting other people. Church doesn't own the deeds to that. It's not theirs.
No friendliness. That's a church thing.
Yeah, but they don't just make it about the talks. They make it an event where they expect you to interact. American Atheist did a Cards Against Humanity tournament. Stuff like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if you ask me, if I were to go back to being a conference organizer, I would really punch those things. I would make it fun. And since we like getting into academics, during an economic recession, there are 2 industries that do particularly well. Do you know what they are?
Alcohol and
education and entertainment. Education, because nobody has a job, so they're all trying to go to school to get more skills so they can get a job. And entertainment, just because people aren't willing to give up on it. Like, entertainment does fine in a recession.
That's what I said.
Yeah, you did. Okay. You're right. People like having fun, so it's not just enough to give them famous people who have good ideas. You've got to find some way to make it fun. So, honestly, if I'm running a conference, if I've already got a big draw, like, of course you want to bring Richard Dawkins because he's a draw, but if I've already got a number of people there, I would strongly consider bringing Carroll, the physicist. What's his full name?
Lewis Carroll. That's what I was going.
No, he spoke at Skepticon. I think he was on the Colbert Report. I can't think of his name. He's super famous.
Not Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Was it? No. Tyson's a big draw, but Carroll's Carroll's his last name, but he's a
Oh,
lesser
Sean
draw than
Carroll.
Dawkins. Oh, Sean, what?
Sean Carroll, right?
Sean Carroll, yes, thank you. He's a lesser draw than Dawkins, but his stage presence is way better. He's a lot more enjoyable to watch. And so I'd really consider bringing him ahead of Dawkins if I've already got the draw there, because like you could have all the best information in the world, but if people aren't paying attention, if they're falling asleep, doesn't do you any good. And plus, you want people to enjoy, so they come back next year and tell their friends. So yeah, okay. So there's my long rambling answer about what I think conferences should be doing, and the conferences that the two I think really get it right now are American Atheist and Aposticon. And if you're looking for a free one, I don't think Skepticon's that far behind.
Awesome.
I think keeping their locations also in mind, because for instance, the Peabody, if they hadn't had a convention discount, we would not have stayed at the Peabody. There's no doubt that $400 some a night was outrageous. So that nice discount.
We were not their usual clientele.
Right, exactly. You don't want to. My personal opinion is you don't want these things to be something where only the 1%ers can go to it, because if it starts hitting $600 hotels, I'm not going.
Yeah, this isn't TED Talks where it's like $8,000 to get in the door. Like we want it to be something where good ideas are being spread without the financial barrier.
Well, absolutely. And Steve, what did you get? Two questions. One, what did you get out of this, and what did you expect to get out of this? And and moving forward, like what would be good for you? Because this is your first one. This is my first one too, but I always talk. So, what are your thoughts?
As far as my expectations, I'll be honest, I really didn't have any, because I'd never been to a conference like that as it was. So I didn't have any major expectations. But what I got out of it was, for one, meeting so many people that were my heroes, Matt Dillahunty and Aaron Rod. I know, JT, you want to punch me in the face, but like it or not, you're still one of my heroes as well. Much admiration.
Eat a dick.
But
my hero now, bitch.
Yeah.
He's like sadly covering up a JT tattoo on his arm.
That's not funny.
I wanted you to see this right here.
Oh my God.
Just for you.
But
I'm flattered, but never say that.
Men get penises stuck inside of their mouths all the time, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually had several weird orgies when we were there.
Okay.
But really though, they were also approachable, and that to me said a lot, because I know when I first started shifting away from religion and aggressively attacking people with debates and whatnot, I wasn't very approachable, and so that was something that really, really struck a chord.
Lame.
This
is gonna be the best answer ever. God's trying to stop him.
Struck a cat. I think he said.
Sorry, you blipped out there for a second.
So
struck a chord with you?
Yeah, yes,
that
struck a chord with me.
Though.
Yeah, so I got this awesome 3 kilobits per second going on here. So,
nice.
But yeah, it was that for me was the best. Seeing how approachable they all were and being willing to sit down and be normal. I had a jam session with JT and Matt and just playing guitar songs and just being goofy. So that was awesome. And I think that's the biggest thing for me that would make me go forward again to another, was beyond getting the expected education, as it were, being able to socialize with them and see the kind of real people they are off the stage. So that was pretty cool.
And let me tell you something. For people like me and Matt, like, we get just as much out of that as you do. Like, you might think like, oh, like they're taking their time, they're coming down from on high to spend time with me. Like, oh, it's the best. No, man. Like, we love meeting people in the movement. Like, when I go to give talks, like, I tell people, like, you can put me on a couch with some people. Like, I almost even prefer it than a hotel room, because I get to meet the people, who read my blog and who like my work. That's awesome. In fact, this is gonna sound so arrogant again, but like, one of the shitty things about being in this position where you're treated like a celebrity at these conferences is a lot of people like you so much, like, you don't get to meet them. You get to meet whatever caricature they think will impress you the most. Mm-hmm. Like, it's almost like they're acting, and you can totally tell, and like, it's flattering a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like, no, it's like, what is your favorite color? Like, what do you look for in a mate? Like, what's your favorite movie? Like, I want to know you. Like, this isn't even necessary. So when you guys come up to us and jam with us and like show us that you can play the guitar, show us your other skills, that's great for us. Like, it makes us feel like a part of the movement too. So I don't feel like that's all for you.
Yeah,
there are some weird. Okay, like I tweeted about this actually. I was like, there's some fucking. I love myself some atheists, but there's some fucking weirdos too. There's like some creepers. You see, like, the dude, like, I walked up and I shook hands with Jacqueline Glenn, got a picture with her. The dude right behind him was like, hey, did you see that guy? Did you I don't remember Steve. I don't know if you were there. But
I saw his
Bobby,
picture
he's
right
on,
on the.
sure.
he's like red.
Is Bobby?
Yeah. His dad, yeah, probably. No, but his dad was like, hey, he's really excited to meet you, and he was just sitting there like this. And he's like
Deer in
really
the
excited to
headlights
meet you.
face.
And I had to drag him up here. Yeah. And I was like, I was like, dude, all these people. Maybe it's just because I know JT and like I've known you for a while, so it's like, they're just people, they're just awesome people that happen to strike it big because they're doing what they love,
No, yeah,
So,
and I feel what you're saying, JT, because like we're not rock stars like you, but our other podcast has a little fan base, and my favorite part of that podcast is just when they interact with us, when they like ask me for video game recommendations or like shoot the shit about like the latest Wii
When
game.
they unsubscribe over your Chrono Trigger.
Oh my god, that was amazing. But like in general, that's the best part. Is just like being able to be like talk to people who have similar interests with you. Like the reason you're in the movement is because you have similar interests with them, and so it's being able to talk to people who like the same stuff you do.
Yeah.
It's funny because I used to work for the Arkansas Music Pavilion that's here, and I saw so many celebrities, and I've never been starstruck.
Oh, your internet, dude.
I think he was gonna say Starscream. He's never been Decepticon Starscream.
Your internet. You've never been what?
Never been starstruck.
I was way off.
So meeting these guys though for me was just because they had such an impact on my life. I think that's why I was so like wow, because they're doing something that's real. Being in a movie, being in a band, whatever. But doing something that's real, that's important.
Too. No matter how good your speech is, like a lot of times, what makes a difference to someone is giving them 2 minutes of your time. Like a lot of time that makes more of a difference than anything you have to say. And a lot of atheist speakers realize that, though not all of them, sadly.
Wait, I think I know who you're talking about.
It's JT, isn't it?
Well, cool. Yeah,
I make a dedicated effort to give people my time. I used to try to remember the names of everybody I came across, and that worked for a while. Then I met a lot of people. And
I think you called me Lisa like 6 times.
to be fair, that was during the orgy, so.
Yeah, right after the
how
baby.
I get off, okay?
That's fine. We all have our things.
Well, cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. I think that's gonna wrap up the episode. JT, always a pleasure, my man. I don't know. Keep being awesome. Steve, it was good to have you on, man. It's good to have you do your thing. And David, you always have to be on because you have to. So you don't have a choice.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, thanks. And so I'm excited about if we end up doing the PastaCon thing, maybe we can all get together. And
Absolutely.
Other than that, thanks for being on, guys. New times. We can tell the people that we slay dragons. It'll be fine.
I shall inform the king at once.
I gotta send you the video of Tim doing that, but later.
It's fabulous.
All right. See you guys.